This is our 9th video, Monarch 4D, reproduction of the monarch butterfly. This is a female monarch. When she's ready to mate, she will produce pheromones. Those are chemicals in the air that communicate. And the male monarch is picking up the scent and coming into the picture. He's also interested in mating. So mating will follow this fog of pheromones. Monarch reproduction is quite violent. The male will locate the female and grab her and wrestle with her and try and clasp her with his claspers and hook up. He will hook up and travel off to a safe place, carrying her with him. He will frequently find a tree limb or a place where he can spend the next 10 or so hours coupled with the female monarch. The male and female monarchs are united, and they are in the process of reproducing. The male anatomy in this diagram is shown in blue. The female reproductive structures are shown in pink. They are held together by his claspers so that his anatomy can function by producing a structure in the female bursa copulatrix. A pair of testes producing sperm and other materials. A pair of accessory glands producing special fluids. The paired tubes unite in a single tube which travel through his mating appendage into her mating tube to produce in her bursa a structure called the spermatophore. The male accessory glands produce a material which travels down the sperm duct into the bursa. It's a membrane. That membrane is there for the preparation of the formation of the spermatophore. Also in the accessory gland, a special fluid is produced which travels down the tube and fills the membrane in the bursa with a special fluid that will be utilized for the production of the spermatophore. In the testes, sperm are produced. Also in the testes is a material for the production of a sperm sac in the bursa. So the sperm sac is built in the bursa, filled with sperm, maintained healthy by the special fluid within. Also produced in the accessory glands is a material which produces a structure called the column. This is a cap that covers the sperm sac. His job is done. He disconnects with the claspers and flies off, maybe looking for another partner. The female reproductive anatomy, shown here in pink, is in the posterior end of her abdomen. She has ovaries, which produce eggs. She has a bursa filled with a contribution from the male. She has a mating tube. She has what's called a sperm duct, which leads to a seminal receptacle and an accessory gland called the spermatheca. She also has a egg chamber and another accessory gland which produces glue to attach the eggs. Notice she has 2 openings in the posterior end of her body. The male has left his contribution. His contribution is in the bursa copulatrix. It's called the spermatophore. It also has within the chamber a sperm sac and a cap called the column. What is the bulk of the contents in the bursa is a spermatophore, shown here in yellow. It fills the bursa with a special fluid, and that fluid is absorbed by the female over time. It's high in protein and fat, and basically it's part of her nutrition. So it was hard work for him to deposit that in her bursa, and for her then to take that energy that he left her and incorporate it into her body is his contribution to make sure his DNA continues. The sperm then exits through an opening in the column and proceeds to travel up the sperm duct to the seminal receptacle, or the spermathecal gland. The spermatheca produces fluids which nourish and propel the sperm from that position. The sperm stored in the pouch then travels down into the egg chamber and picks up from the oviduct an egg ready to be fertilized. So she has contributed a long line of infertile eggs with yolk. At this point, fertilization has occurred, and that egg becomes a zygote, or a fertilized egg. Fertilization has occurred. The eggs continue on down the egg chamber. They're met by material from the glue gland. So this is an adhesive that will stick the egg to a leaf or a twig out in the environment. As these eggs continue down the egg chamber, they are destined to be laid on milkweed, only milkweed. A milkweed flower, leaf, stem, only milkweed. Here's the egg on a milkweed leaf. You can see it's got little ribs for strength, and all eggs of different butterflies have a different look. This represents an egg from the Danaid subfamily. And the first thing the caterpillar does when it emerges from this egg is eat the egg capsule, rich in protein. Probably its last rich in protein meal. This is a diagram illustrating an attempted mating by a second male who has clasped her and inserted his appendage into her mating tube and located the column of a previous male. The message to him is that the bursa is filled. There's no point in hanging around. So he disengages the claspers and flies off looking for another adventure. Over time, the spermatophore reduces in size, and another male approaches, inserts the appendage into her mating tube, and gets the message that there's room for him. He then proceeds to produce his own membrane, filling that with his own spermatophore and a sperm sac and a sperm cap. So he then is done and leaves. So the second mating has occurred. Sperm in the seminal receptacle from the previous mating continues. Fertilization occurs and the process unfolds. In the meantime, the bursa has been filled by another male. The sperm cap, called the column, has a hole in it, and the sperm sac filled with sperm will proceed through that opening, up the sperm duct, into the seminal receptacle, which is now going to become crowded with sperm from two different males. The second male overrides and crowds out the first male. Eggs continue. They're fertilized by the first male, continue on down the egg chamber. The second male's sperm then begins to change the story. His sperm then fertilizes the unfertilized egg and continues down the tube with a different set of DNA. So the last male, his DNA has overridden male number 1. The glue gland attaches the sticky, and it continues on, and we now have a new kind of monarch produced by another male. The first male's eggs continue down the egg chamber, and they exit. They continue to be laid on milkweed, but the last male and his sperm then have fertilized a new set of eggs with a new template from his ancestry. The male monarch can decide whether to mate or not. What is complex and remarkable is the fertilization process within the female. Not only does she receive male energy in the form of a spermatophore and transfers that energy from him to her metabolism, thereby making him slightly weaker and her stronger, but she also controls the fertilization process. She stores his sperm in her seminal receptacle and decides when fertilization will occur. And only when she decides does an egg and a sperm produce a zygote, and an egg that's fertile to be laid on milkweed. So monarch reproduction is unique, awesome, and remarkable.